see where we're at. All right, folks, welcome to the Mañana Nomás morning check-in. This is Kurt, your host of the Mañana Nomás morning check-in, and everything else that's online that's Mañana Nomás. In fact, so weird. Sometimes I think the whole name, the whole effort, Mañana Nomás, doesn't make sense to some people. Sometimes I think um, they look at me and they go, why in the world does this guy keep saying Mañana Nomás? And then I find myself on podcasts or answering emails or, meeting people, and they'll say, man, that name reminds me of something else, or that name reminds me of something someone else said, or that name, um, conveys a meaning. And it does, right? Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today, right? You got to get it done like it's yesterday, right? Mañana nomás, get it done yesterday. And so I'm really pretty passionate about the methodology and what it means and how it works. And it's one of those things that to me has become an identifier. But I'm also very, very open to the idea that maybe this whole proliferation of the Mañana Nomás branding and name can confuse matters. And I think about people that do digital marketing. I think of, Dave Gambrell. He's one of my go-to guys. I think about Chris Badgett with Lifter LMS. I think about things I've heard Adrian Toby say with Groundhog. I think about a conversation I had with the owner of Gravity Forms. And there was some bits and pieces that came out of that conversation that I had with Zach that made me think, maybe in some instances it's good to step away from the Mañana Nomás name and do an effort or do a campaign that is separate, right? And that's why I have the Power Sports Academy. The Power Sports Academy isn't all branded with Mañana Nomás stuff. No, it's branded as, the Power Sport Academy. And the Power Sport Academy is designed to teach service departments how to improve the overall financial picture of their dealerships. I'm centered on power sports, but a lot of the ideology is the same for, recreational vehicles, marine, bicycle, all of that. And so as we take a look at this week and what's going on this week, it's a big week. So yesterday I didn't do a live. I did do a couple of bonus lives over the weekend. If you miss those, you can go to the YouTube channel for Mañana Nomás, and you can pick up on, hey, what was the live message over the weekend? And I didn't do one yesterday, and here's why. I've actually got this virtual assistant that has, been pounding through my LinkedIn and making me some appointments, and I've been going through and having appointments and speaking to people. I ended up talking to dealer owners that I didn't think would have the time to talk to me, and they got on the phone and they were actually happy to have the call. I mean, imagine my surprise, right? I have a sense of humility in how I approach things. And I realize I bring a lot of value to the table, especially with power sports dealers. But I also know that, they have a bigger world very often than what they thought they were willing to have, right? So when they show up at their dealership every day, they're getting beat up about something. Their employees take a lot of effort. All the manufacturers want to get their time. I mean, there's just always something going on to distract a dealer owner from personal development or training or something like that. And then, to hear, that someone that I thought was, up here on the food chain in the dealer world is like, man, I'd love to have a conversation. Let's get on the phone. To me, that's picking up that sales gap that I had, right? The idea that there's a virtual assistant making appointments for me um, helps me to overcome, and I'm going to say it, it's like a false sense of humility. I'm overly humble about some of what I bring to the table for these dealers. When I have training talks with dealer staff and talk about adding $250,000 in, added revenue to their department for a year, and that's, just in a month or two of training, that's huge, right? And so when you consistently have those types of conversations, I need to realize that there's value in what I bring and that I'm not a distraction to the dealer owners. However, I feel that the perception of them is that I am a distraction. Does that make sense? Anyway, having somebody to help broker some of those appointments and calls for me has really helped bridge the gap for me and has kept me really busy. In fact, I was on the phone or on Zoom yesterday from 9 o'clock in the morning until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I finally took a moment, turned off the computer, went and grabbed something to eat, visited the restroom, and drank some water. My throat was actually sore from all of the talking and conversing yesterday, which is a great sign. Nothing to complain about. It's a great sign. Things are moving. In fact, I found out about a new distributor yesterday. And the guy I'm talking to says, "Oh, have you heard of brand, XYZ?" I said, "Well, I've heard of it. I saw a write up in Dealer News, but I'm not very familiar with the brand." And then he says, "Well, it's interesting that you and I are talking. I see that you're into training and that you make online training. Are you comfortable with virtual training? Are you comfortable with sales content and service content?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's all of this is in my wheelhouse. What are we getting at?" And they've got a project launching in February that he said, "I'd really like to bring you into this." Um, our project is launching in February. And I'm like, okay, well, February is pretty close, right? And so if that were to come true, then I would say, directly after Christmas or New Year's, we'd have to be talking about curriculum and setup and writing and, presentation and getting ready to present. So, it's nice to know that while other companies are in the process of trying to get proposals ready for me, you don't sit back and wait. You don't go, well, they said they're going to give me a contract next week, so I better hold off. I can't do that, right? What if they don't, right? And then I lose a week or 10 days or 2 weeks of waiting, right? I have to keep pushing forward, pushing forward, pushing forward. And what I say to folks all the time is when the check clears my account, then it's official, right? And I got to say that all the time, because in this industry, it's very common for people to go, "Oh, I'm super super interested," and then super interested doesn't turn into a check. Super interested turns into, "We got some information from you. We understand how we're going to move forward now. Thank you so much for your time." And that's just one of the things of being a consultant that sometimes pops up for you. So, man, that's nice. And so, as I jump on today, which is Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, I just want to check in with you guys and just again talk about how positive, how energized, how excited I am about what the immediate future is going to hold for us. Um, Whether you believe the election was stolen from Trump or not, whether you believe in the hearings that you're seeing or hearing about with voter fraud and machines tampering with elections and flipping votes, whether or not you're with Black Lives Matter, whether or not where your stance is on the abortion process, whether or not you believe churches should be open during the COVID crisis, whether or not you believe in masking or unmasking, or vaccination or not vaccinating, right? Where you might be an anti-vaxxer. But I'm trying to cover all of these polarizing events that we have right now. There's so much going on with all of this. And no matter where you fall on that scale, here's the truth of it. The truth of it is, if you've got a family and you're the provider, you have to find a way to provide. And so I have been very, very faithful in working, sowing seed, and looking for this harvest. I've been working harder since leaving Suzuki than when I worked at Suzuki, right? And whether or not it generates income that day, that week, or the next month, I keep doing the work, right? So generating content, doing stuff like this. You guys see me, I'm very consistent being on here. I've got content on Mañana I've got content on the Power Sport Academy. I've got content on the Pod Show Exchange. I've got content on the Power Sport Roundtable. And I'm also building a new platform that's doing a proof of concept this month, a soft launch in January. And if those both go well, we're going to do a hard launch in February. And I'm very much looking forward to, boom, seeing what that is. And then there's these other opportunities with other companies that are coming to the table. And my point here is, don't give up. Don't get overly patient. Don't be overly humble, right? I talked about having almost a false sense of humility and not recognizing the value that sometimes I bring to the table. And I'm being very transparent with you guys because I want you to learn from my mistakes, right? I spent months talking to friends of mine. I spent months calling people I was very familiar with. I spent months kind of commiserating about how I wasn't really getting ahead with my program or my message. And here's the deal. I needed to get out of that comfort circle. I needed to expand past that. And I'm not going to say I wasted the time because I generated content. I've got content like you wouldn't believe. So I generated content and I generated, ideas and momentum, but I wasn't out of my comfort circle yet. Right. And so what I had to do was I had to find a way to get past that. And here's one of the things I did. I invited 4 other experts to join a roundtable with me, and we're doing a 5-hour live webinar tomorrow called the Power Sports Roundtable. This thing is going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be over the top. It started out as like, hey, this could be a cool idea. Why don't we get together and try and put this little webinar thing together? And then it's turned into, marketing efforts and graphics and a schedule and, having a very, founded way of exploiting each expert's skill set to power sport dealer owners. And I'm so excited about it. And to see people jumping into the registration link and adding themselves to the list to come to the event, that to me it's phenomenal. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. The other thing is that we are recording it. And by recording it, we will be able to make excerpts available in the Dealership Fix It podcast, which is hosted by Brian Croft. So, oh my goodness, out of the comfort zone, right? Did I picture myself hooking up with a sales expert, with a BDC expert, with a social media expert, and with a leadership expert? No, because I have a certificate in leadership, speaking, coaching, and training. I have experience in sales training. With Ducati, I used to get up and give the dealer meeting talks, right? 3,000 people in the room, and I could get up and give a talk if I had to. So you look at it and you go, I could do that. I don't need to do that. I'm a service expert. I'm a fixed operations expert. And so if I focus on that as my niche, and I bring in a sales expert and a leadership expert and a social media expert and a BDC expert, well, then I don't have to be the expert on all of those things. We've got people that do their specialty, right? And then that whole sense of false humility and all that stuff can go out the window because then I am the expert on the section that I'm covering. Does that make sense? And so I'm encouraging people to get out of their comfort circle and associate. The other thing was, I mentioned earlier in the call or in this message, I had a virtual assistant making some appointments for me with people I normally wouldn't have made the appointment with. Again, out of the comfort circle, right? And when you get on the phone with somebody, like if they make the appointment, you can't not go to the appointment that you requested, right? And so, people that I thought would say no said yes. And I went, oh, they actually want to talk to me. And it's a set time. I'm totally cool with that. Now I'm not interrupting your breakfast, your dinner, your lunch, your work meeting, your conference. I'm not interrupting anything, right? We have an appointment. So I call and I go, hey, how you doing, man? This is Kurt, Kurt Von Onen. We had an appointment. And they go, oh, hey man, how you doing? Man, I'm glad you reached out to me. I really need to talk to you. And that is typically what they say. Now, is that what my inner brain thought was going to happen? No, I thought they're going to be like, what do you want? Why are you trying to sell me stuff? You're selling and I'm not in the market. No, they know what I bring to the table, right? A lot of these people already know who I am. And so because a virtual assistant made the appointment for me, as me, when we communicate, they're expecting my call. When I call them up, I go, hey, it's Kurt. How you doing? Thanks for taking the call. And they, what do you want? Well, I just want to see how you're doing. I want to see, how COVID's been treating you and your dealership or you and your business. How have you been getting around certain things? How have you been finding growth in this controlling market? And you know what? You already know what I can do for a business. Is there anything I can do to help you? And then find out, what do they think their gaps are? What do they think their missing elements are? And then kind of have a quick conversation and go, hey, you know what? I don't want to turn this into a full-blown sales conversation. If you would like, I can do a proposal for you, or I can redirect you to, my training website if you want to train your service staff, and then go that way. So it's been really, really cool. Just looking at yesterday and then looking at today. Today I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 people to contact today. And then yesterday, like I said, I had calls nonstop from 9 o'clock till 3 in the afternoon. And then I've got the 5 hour webinar on Wednesday, tomorrow. And then like I said, I've got a couple of other companies that we're looking at possibly uh, coming together with in a formal relationship. So there's a ton of stuff going on. And my encouragement to you is to get out of your comfort circle and get a ton of stuff going on for you. If you are unemployed or you're entrepreneurial, right, trying to do something on your own away from a corporation, um, don't worry about being too busy. Don't worry about it. Say yes, say yes, say yes. Figure out a way to make it happen. Get help if you need it. There's plenty of people out there that can help. And then find a way, find solutions. I used to tell people when I was a service director, I would say, hey, you can come to me all you want with problems and obstacles, as long as you also bring solutions. Bring me some options that I can work with. I might not choose your option. I might not like your option, but you know what? If you're going to come to me with problems and obstacles, come to me with possible solutions. And have that policy for yourself. Instead of telling yourself what you can't do, figure out from yourself what you can do, what the solution might be to move forward. Take that next step forward. Sometimes it's, hey, you know what, I'm really booked solid today, is it possible we could meet on Friday instead? And just being that transparent with somebody earns you another emotional deposit in the emotional bank, right? So folks, I got a lot going on there, and I keep it straight in my head using the 5-minute journal that I talked about day after day after day, which I am still on now. So have yourself a blessed day. Have a fantastic day. I'll tell you what, as busy as it is today, it's already almost 10:30 in the morning here, California. Um, I am more than likely going to hop on that one, that one, that one, the black and green giant, and do just a little bit of a pedal today and get the exercise out and get my head clear for a successful webinar tomorrow with the Power Sports Roundtable. If you're in the power sports industry and you're not currently signed up on the Power Sports Roundtable yet, go to powersportroundtable.com, powersportroundtable.com, and register. And you'll get all the information to come to our event. And man, I just pray that you enjoy it. Have a good one.